Good afternoon. This is Henry Hatter, and this is the In My Opinion show. I will dispense with the monologue today due to the presence of a very interesting and important guest, Amir Hassan. Amir is the first African American who has run for Congress from the urban community ever. I was going to say in in a long time, but ever. We've never had a black candidate run as a Republican. Amir is running as a Republican. So I hope that you will give him your ears. Today, Amir, I want to talk about basically three things. I want to talk about governance. I want to talk about your role, where you intend to take that. And I want to talk about education and healthcare, if we can get to it. But time on this show goes very, very fast. So I'll have to cut you off at times when you extending your conversation. So I hope you will forgive us for that. I hope that the audience will enjoy the conversation by Amir Hassan. So, Amir, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mr. Hatter.
So, what I want you to do today, Amir, tell the people in the Republican Party, the people who live in this city, the people who live in the central city,
Mhm.
the people who live in Genesee County, in the state of Michigan, and the nation, who Amir Hassan is.
Well,
What you plan to do as you run for Congress, and how you intend to win. You have the floor, sir.
I am Amir Hassan. I am my father's son and my mother's pride. Uh, Let her tell it I'm the bane of her existence. But I am the seventh born of my father. Born in Flint, Michigan. Son of General Motors. Son of the public education system here in Flint. More so an American. I was born in this country, as was my father and his father before him. So I understand the rights and liberties of this country and the opportunities we should have, and that we should expect being a natural born citizen and somebody who really cares and invests into this country. So my childhood was, similar to a lot of people. I was born on the north side. I'm a Hurley baby, Hurley Hospital, and then I grew up off of in, near Hamady High School originally. I spent my first 8 years of my life over there, and then I moved to the south side and grew up the rest of my time on the south side. Doyle Ryder Elementary, Longfellow Middle School, Whittier Middle School, and then I finished up at Northwestern for 8th through 12th grade. It was Northwestern Edison, if any of my Wildcats are out there. Uh, you know, that was my high school years. Growing up in Flint was beautiful. It was a beautiful time, a family oriented, extracurriculars built into the school system. All the teachers know your parents, will call your parents if you act up. It wasn't just hurry up and kick them out of school and have somebody else deal with them or call the police. The teachers were really significant in society and as a backbone, as a community. I grew up with that spirit. We used to have back to school rallies growing up where, entertainment acts used to come in and everybody would come downtown, have your t-shirt, new backpacks. And it was just the most incredible feeling growing up in a place like this where we felt Flint was a big city, you know. Like growing up, I actually thought Flint, Michigan was a big city because it was. We had everything big cities have. We didn't want to be anywhere else. We didn't want to be anyone else. That was the pride that this place instilled in me. That's who I am. Being the youngest brother, I've learned from my elder siblings and my cousins and uh, family. That's the important part of learning and being around family. School, fellowship, community, family. That was my childhood. Ranging from north to the south. Half of my family's from the north, half of my family's from the south side, and that's where I spent my time. So going from there, we go into the military. And I've explained this before. Going into the military, going into the Navy, that's when we start to become a man. That's where we start to shape our ideals. And coming from a place like this, as big as city as I thought it was, Flint is not the most diverse place. So, getting sent overseas to Europe and being exposed to different cultures, getting exposed to different people from around the world and their cultures and customs and their expectations of being American and what it means to them was eye opening. It was life changing and it was a benefit. I loved it. I have some of my best friends from Puerto Rico, my other best friends from Jersey, one from Richmond, Virginia, uh, going to Japan, going to Africa, living in Italy and Cuba. Those opportunities were provided by not only the military, but the American apparatus and structure. And that's what helped form me as a person. I say that to say community, family, service is the foundation of who I am, but more so, uh, it's the foundation that all Americans share and can share. And it's the future of this country. Love your community, love your family, and serve someone else other than yourself, and we'll go far.
What drives you to run for Congress?
That's a good question. On one hand, it's the service, service and protection is what I've always done professionally. The other hand, more recent, more shifting gears. I had a man walk into the bathroom with my daughter, and the man identified as a woman, and I had to walk in the women's bathroom at that point. So now there's two men in the women's bathroom. That was the last straw for me. That's when I saw that people are really changing the trajectory of this country and trying to implement their agendas against us. And perfect segue is we see what's going on with the Department of Education this week. They're passing sexual orientation in our schools where it will be taught K through 12. And they say you can opt out, yet it's hidden inside of the health curriculum. So there's no way to opt out of it if it's mandatory curriculum or instruction that's being taught. That's why I'm running for Congress to protect us, the ones who really care about family, tradition, community, and faith. If you believe, regardless of what faith you believe in, it all talks about family. None of them talk about men dressing as women and infiltrating and indoctrinating our children in it.
But there are many more issues than that single one that you have discussed that the people in the state and county
Mhm.
and city are interested in.
Understood.
There are
Understood.
multiple.
But Mr. Hatter, my pushback to that is yes, we can have political debates all we want. We can have talking points and we can go on for 45 minutes, an hour and a half talking. But how many times or how many instances do you need to get fed up? I'm one of those people, you disrespect me one time. That's all I need to see. You tell me one thing, something like this, where you're telling my child at an age where they haven't even learned arithmetic yet, that this is how they need to be. That's all I need to know. And to be clear, if you are an adult and you live an alternative lifestyle or lifestyle that you want to live, that's your prerogative. But to indoctrinate children into anything of sexual orientation against many times what their family's values or beliefs or teachings are is false, is wrong, and it should not happen. So for me, I am not a single issue voter. I am not a single issue candidate. However, if I had to pick one issue that is driving a lot of people uh, to be upset right now, this is the issue I hear the most about while on the campaign trail. And so, therefore, yes, there are many others. We can talk about affordability. We can talk about jobs. We can talk about education to make sure our kids are reading at a third grade level. Because if they're not, they have a higher risk of uh, poverty or dropout rate or incarceration. We can talk about mass incarcerations and why are so many people going to jail. I have all these issues and I have a background in these issues. However, I don't want to just skim over each issue as if it's not major. This very first one is major. The education route, our kids are not reading by the third grade, and yet they're still progressing. And now we're graduating illiterate people. How can we ask them to vote? How can we ask them to be involved in society? How can we ask them to get a job and be marketable to employers if they can't read to comprehend? That's the issue. We really have to get back to the fundamentals.
I concede that point to you.
Yeah.
It's not debatable. But and I didn't mean to underestimate you on that one issue.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to make sure that we are covering the spectrum
Mhm,
for other people, and we just haven't gotten to it yet.
mhm.
But I just wanted to interject that you're doing a great job on the education piece. On and people are concerned about men being in women bathrooms. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so
Can't
am
brush
I.
over it. We cannot brush over it.
So is the public out there. But let me ask you: you are. Do you believe in the Constitution and do you follow it
To the T.
with to the T?
To the T.
So
I'll explain this
you're
way.
looking the Americans in the eye out there.
The Constitution is the framework of this country. The Constitution is, for all points and purposes, the best piece of literature or document ever provided or produced. Our Constitution is better than any other country's Constitution in the world. It's the best living document. And now, is there some amendments we can make? Possibly. But as written, it's the best thing going. And we shall follow it. And we see that they're trying to tell people in the armed services, listen, if you don't have a lawful order, you don't have to follow it. And
Oh,
you see,
that's
you
terrible.
see
We're going to come to that.
well, um, we're protecting enemies, foreign and domestic, right? And we're going to follow the letter of the law.
So what you're saying, when people say, "Well, Congress, people, the soldiers, don't have to follow the president, who is the executive um, chief of
He's the
the army,
commander in chief.
yeah, commander in chief of the army.
Mhm,
His people don't have to follow him
mhm.
if given what is called an illegal order. What would that be like?
First of all, it's not for the individual service member to determine if it's illegal on their own interpretation. That's not the way it works. Now, in the military, anybody a veteran or the active duty would tell you you have the UCMJ, which is Uniform Code of Military Justice. Those are the laws and bylaws of the military.
What would you call the person who urges that kind of action?
Um, they're
What
dangerous.
law
They're
they
dangerous.
might they
Um,
violate?
well, I don't know what
Could it be
laws they.
seditious?
It could be on the most extreme measure. It could be seditious.
Do you know much about Andrew Johnson?
No,
You never read much about Andrew Johnson?
no,
Andrew Johnson would have had you shot.
yeah.
So would George Washington
For what?
under those circumstances.
Oh, for
Yeah,
those.
George Washington didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we progressed to a different time now. Now we have
it's
legislations and we
okay for her
have.
to say that.
No, it's not okay for anybody to go against the law of the land or the law of the commander in chief. It's not okay to encourage insubordination. That is not okay. What I'm saying is there's procedures and policies in place, or protocols, excuse me, procedures and protocols in place to make sure if that talk is had and that's encouraged, they should be followed and they should be reprimanded or there should be consequences for that. It doesn't
What
necessarily go to
challenge
that.
does that cause for the American people when Russia, South Korea, um, China have guns pointed at this way?
Oh man.
How does that encourage them, or does it?
It does. You can't hesitate in war. You ever heard the saying, "He who hesitates in war is lost"? And the issue is, if you're receiving an order, and now instead of just following your orders and executing the plan, you're sitting here trying to determine whether or not it's legal or whether or not you like it or not. And a lot of time, it's personal bias. It's just people don't want to like it, so they don't want to do it, and they find an excuse not to do it. Then you're putting the whole plan and your team in jeopardy. I was in the service. A lot of my friends, a lot of my family served. Most of the time, you get orders that you might not care about or like, you still carry it out. That's your duty. You play your role, you play your position. Somebody is above you in rank, has made these decisions, and that's what they're supposed to do. You follow orders. That's what the military is about. That's why it's called rank and file. You follow orders. Those people in those positions making the orders, they have intel and information that you may not be privy to.
I can understand people who have frustration with the president,
Yeah.
but doing something like that, I'm not in favor of.
Oh,
When you
she was out of pocket.
challenge the military, the president with his role
She was out of pocket.
as
They're playing
commander in chief.
politics.
Yeah. So I won't mention her name, but I
Yeah,
just want you to know that when you go to Washington,
yeah.
I will not support such a um,
No, nor should anyone
position.
else. And I'm glad the Republican Party came out and pushed back and had our veterans, law enforcement officers, and intel community, which I'm a part of all three of those groups,
Well,
come out and say that's not the way to go about business.
now before we go any further, I'd like to have you um, explain what endeavors have you been engaged in that prepare you
Right.
to run for this position in Washington? What political issues have you been engaged in? What
Well, just my
public?
background overall, my professional background as an intelligence analyst. So, geopolitically speaking, I dealt with um, Africa and what we were seeing with Al Shabaab. If anybody didn't see, the Minnesota Democrats Party through their legislation was funneling money to Al Shabaab, which is a terrorist organization in the Horn of Africa and Somalia. I dealt directly with them. I dealt with Chinese opposition forces while stationed in Asia and deploying as an intelligence officer. I've been in Guantanamo Bay dealing with Islamic terrorism and there. So my military background and then a law enforcement background dealing with every type of protest, every type of uh, federal law enforcement type of situation, whether it's from you know murder to robbery. I've done with that, but that informs my political backing. So, and then being a father, of course.
What policy areas did you cover? What commands did you dictate? What authority did you have over the platform?
As far
Can you
as
show uh, what was your responsibility
yeah,
and engagement as you
okay.
engaged with other people on these issues that you've talked about?
Well,
Just cite one or the other, one or two.
I
Or,
don't come from a political background, so but in law enforcement, as far as jurisdiction and what I engaged in, um, freedom of speech. We deal with freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms, protecting those who are practicing and having their rights to make sure their rights were not violated. I've dealt with that personally. Um, but more so, my platform and my policies are informed just by lived experience. So I speak a lot about getting kids into the trades and education.
but now I've asked you what endeavors have you been engaged in. Now I'll ask you um, what strategies have you developed in order to achieve your goals? What have you done? What strategies? You can be local strategies engaged with political organizations, with people, or with publication of materials. How have you developed your strategy to win? Convince the people that you are out there to win, irrespective of the
We've
opposition.
I've been campaigning for the last 3 months, Mr. Hatter. 3.5, 4 months now. And so in that time frame, we've written multiple op-ed pieces. We've had multiple interviews via podcast, printed, or a live news. I've been at every festival, every GOP meeting available. I've been fundraising throughout the state, throughout the country, and in districts. And now in the policies we have came up with educational policies. We come up with policies for lower taxes, and we're filling out our policies for job improvement. We have been working on this campaign 4 months straight, uh, accepting every meeting, traveling across the state to those who have done it, to having conversations with people in Indiana, people in Mississippi. These are the places that are showing growth in population, growth in education, and growth in uh, workforce. Those are the meetings, and those are the opportunities we're looking for, and that's what we're taking advantage of. Over the last 4 months, we have grown significantly just through grassroots and being involved in the district and the state
Can I correct you? You don't mean policies, you mean positions,
positions.
advocacy
Yeah, absolutely,
positions.
absolutely.
Um, thank you. Um, again, what timeline have you used now? You you won't run officially until next year, right?
Well, I'm running now, but
You're running now.
the
Yeah.
election, we have the primary election is in August, and then the general election is in
That's another
November.
year. Well, this is
Yeah, this
25.
this is
We
yes.
only have
So
60 days left, 58
right,
days left
right. So we're
in
10,
this year.
10 months away from the
Yeah.
primary election.
So you're running right now
Correct.
for that position.
Correct.
And if someone wanted to contact you, you're
Yes.
in Flint.
Yes.
I'm going to give the people in Flint the first opportunity. How could they contact you? If they wanted to support your organization, how would they do that?
Shoot
How
me.
would the people in Clio or Goodrich or Grand Blanc or Davidson or Kearsley area, how could they contact
The best way is to shoot me an email. You shoot me an email. It's at info at hassan4mi.com. Info at HASSANFORMI.com. That's the best way to get to me. And then I would love to, I sit down with people. We can get to lunch, we can grab a drink, we can just take a walk and just speak and talk about the issues that are of concern. Um, as of right now, I have the time. As of right now, that's the best way for me to learn the issues. I know some issues living here in Flint, born and raised here in Flint. But if you're not in Flint or you are in Flint and you want to show me a different vantage point of what you're going through, I'm available. I'm accessible. That's been like that from day one. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you voted for in the past. Proper change is happening. Proper change is coming, and I look to be a part of that.
you? Now we focused on Flint,
Mm.
but the umbrella of a United States representative is large. It sweeps out a great area. And all of the people can be culturally different, can be financially different, can be educational different. So there's a large variation of people under that umbrella. How would you reach out to people that don't live in Flint? Well, no, this is not Flint. Although Flint is very important because it's the
Absolutely.
center of culture, it's the center of economic activity, and the center of political life. So, but the communities around us have a lot to say about what goes on in Flint. So, how do you reach out to those people? And
Go see him. I listen. Flint is important. Midland, Saginaw, Bay City, Bay County, Genesee. They're everywhere is important. Whether it's a suburb or the actual main city, your child and my child should have the same opportunities. I'm coming to you. I'm in Flint. I just left Saginaw from the Saginaw parade. I couldn't make Midlands this time because they're at the same time. But I'll be at the Blueberry festivals. I'll be at the Walleye festivals. I'll be there. I'll be at the football games. I've been at the football games, the basketball games. I'm there. I'm where the people are. I'm coming. I shop local. I spend my money within the community. I fellowship. I'll be at one of your churches one of these Sundays randomly, not as a politician, just as a member of the community. I'm local. I actually live here. I'm one of those people um, that don't want to go anywhere else outside of my district because we have everything we need here. I'm here.
well, how do you appeal to Gen Xers
Mm.
or or X?
The younger crowd.
Yes. How do you
Yeah.
appeal to them? Now, there's a lot of movement out there
Yeah.
among this group, and in 10 to 12 years, they will be the leaders of this country. How do you appeal to those people?
But they're already leading. I don't think we put an age on it, whether it's old or younger. They're already leading. So we talk about the issues that's going to be of concern to them. I love speaking about college and the dream my generation was sold about college. Go to school, rack up debt, hopefully get a job. And those jobs haven't been here for us. And we have to move out of state. You live a life that you can't live here. Um, so the reason why I came back is for the Gen X or Gen Z or whoever is younger than I, so they can thrive and prosper, and their kids can thrive and prosper with never having to leave mandatory and go live somewhere else to have the opportunities and advantages here. But the younger crowd cares about, they want jobs, they want access, they want fun things to do. They want lower taxes. They want more affordable housing. The housing is not affordable, and you know, 30 year mortgages, 50-year mortgages is not the plan they're looking for. They're looking for a lower cost, and it can happen. But we have to look at the shift that's coming. with AI, with coding, with the future of our country, we have to go into the jobs that are actually paying that. You have to shift the thought process. And the thought process is you have to work the jobs that are paying. And the jobs that are paying here in this town right now, those are in the trades.
Yes, you're right. But how much stock do you really put in the young generation, particularly the ones that were born in this century?
Mhm.
They don't care about power, influence, money, the thing that's made the country great. They don't care about the Constitution. They have not learned it. They don't respect it. They follow in patterns of disrespect to the Constitution and to the American dream. But how do you convince kids that they need to follow the the culture that has been developed by those people who, like yourself, many of whom who died for this country,
Right.
to give them the freedom, the opportunities, the possession of the greatest wealth in the world. We own 25% of the world's GDP. And yet our kids don't look at that as something to savor. And yet we exonerate them and don't try to blend the cultures. How do you go about doing that?
They really have to understand um, that they are part of this. And I think they do. I think there is a big gap between previous generations and the younger generation. However, I think they love this country. They just don't understand some of the issues we have because they were never taught. They don't see it firsthand. A lot of these kids were being brought up in a society that is much different than their previous generations. My generation is much different than my father's generation. And without somebody there to explain that gap, it's hard to understand the issues of the past. However, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
Family still matters. Community still matters. Love of
I
country
like
still
that.
matters.
Yeah.
We have the same things that unify us don't change. The problems change every generation, but the things that unify us and help us get over those problems, those characteristic traits, never change.
No, then.
You have to love this country, and they love this country. I hope they're able to get out and travel some more. But one thing I have seen that I would love to for us to improve upon is um, the fact that people think struggle is like that just about, or they think they're the only ones struggling who have struggled. They don't understand that that's part of the program. The struggle is after you struggle, you overcome, and then you help the next person overcome, whether that's your child, your grandchild. That's part of the program. This generation doesn't want to struggle at all because a lot of them have been brought up so well. We've gotten to a place in this country that
We're privileged.
super,
Yeah, we're super
super.
privileged.
Go
And
traveling
kids
around
need
the
to
world.
kids need to know that. They
Well,
are privileged. All they got to do is go to a third world country and spend 3 months. Now, bet you they'll come back.
it's
Look
these
at the
kids was born
guys.
on Instagram though.
But
Instagram tells you luxury is everything is in abundance and everybody has it. Every time you go through your algorithm, every video you see is somebody doing something with something that is amazing. Most people don't have Lamborghinis. Most people don't have Range Rovers. Most people don't have brand new Escalades. Most people don't. Most people uh, don't ever get these things. Yet when you're looking on your phone, everybody has it. So it makes you feel like you're behind. And if you feel like you're behind at not ninth grade, you're already feeling like you're behind at 25 because all your peers are getting married and having amazing jobs, and that starts to wear on you. But what I'm telling them, my message to them is somebody who is a millennial, somebody who is just now getting to the age where you feel like, okay, you understand the world and you got a grip on it. Man, you keep fighting every day because you're going to keep learning every single day. And it's not for anybody else to do for you. You have to go out there and fight it for yourself. If you're a young man in this world, get out, go explore. If you're a young woman in this world, get out, go explore. The answers will come. It doesn't have to be today. You don't have to be a CEO at 22 when you just graduated at 18. You haven't heard Noah, yes. Noah enough.
Well, kids should know that because we all know that. The Egyptians knew that. The people who wrote the Bible knew that.
Mhm.
Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, they knew that the classroom where these young people are growing up in today is is a is a high reservoir of competition. It's the greatest discipline of competition that man is known for. That's education. And if you go into the classroom and you spend your time on cell phones because you're privileged or because you want to feel victimized by somebody else, you're not paying attention and you're not competing with other kids. So when you walk out of the room, you are a winner or a loser. That's because that's what education is. Education has a standard, and it has a standard up here where if you we will never exceed the standard, but you can come asymptotically close to the standard. And that's where our best kids perform. We have 15 to 20%, 15 or 20% of the kids are like that. You can give them any assignment and they'll never feel victimized. They will never feel defeated. They will, you give them the job and they will get it done. But there are the rest of us who think that the world owes us something and we don't have to study. There are kids who live in urban areas who go into other areas that surround the donut around the major city. Then they think they're equal and think that they don't have to work. But when you move into these other communities, you have to compete with the kids. And you have to be as good as or better than they are. And they accept you for that. But they want people around them that feel equal to them.
Right.
And and the irony is that most of our kids, and here are these folks that say when kids go to various types of schools and they don't look like the kids in those areas, but yet who are highly effective and can compete well with Asians and whites, their families back home, the people who look like these kids from the urban area, will say, well, he or she is acting white. How do you think that makes a child feel who is an accomplished um, young person that can compete with anybody? How do you think it makes them feel? This is the kind of culture out there that we need to get a grasp of, and we need to teach people from urban areas need to teach their kids how to be competitive, and
Yeah.
like they are in basketball or baseball, because the classroom only produces winners and losers.
No,
Comment.
I think in my reality, all my friends, regardless of race, their children are productive and are told to be their best and are striving towards greatness. It's hard being a kid. It's hard being an adult. It's hard. Period. Um, but with that said, yes, we have some things to overcome. If you're speaking of the black community, we have things we have to overcome where a stigma in the past was if you spoke a certain way or if you read a certain way, if you looked a certain way, you weren't of the black community or you were different. And I see that changing. I see that changing. Uh I see people who understand it now more and more. I see people who are we've always been striving for greatness and we continue to strive for greatness. And I think the stigma of being educated or speaking in a certain way or having a certain diction no longer is looked at as trying to be someone else. I see it as people understand we're not a monolith. We're not just one type of person. There, you can't take away somebody's black card or blackness based off the way they sound or how they speak or their dreams and ambitions. And that's how we should be. That's how all people should be.
Well, I think the country in general wants to see that.
I
I,
believe so.
I think the country wants to see that.
I believe so.
But the people who feel victimized has got to want to move to the table and resolve vexing problems that are associated with
Yeah, well,
uh,
somebody's
the
somebody's pumping their head full of that victimization as well. That's the other part.
explain what you're saying.
There's people in political parties that are telling you the left. is telling people of minorities or underrepresented parties that they have a reason to feel victimized because this, and this happened to you. Whether it's they want to talk about redlining or they want to talk about DEI and these type of issues, that's being pushed by the left. And my opinion on that is, for one, I'm every much as black as anybody else. I wasn't affected by those things, and I'm not saying just because my story is different that it's impossible for to be true for someone else. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, if you want to see change and you feel like that is what's happening, you have to get into those representation inside of those bodies. So if you saying politically you're not represented and it's being done to you or targeted, well, you get inside of those bodies from both sides, and you have somebody that's actually going to legislate on fairness, and that's how you fight back within the system. You cannot complain about the system yet not be involved in the system. That's not the way it happens. So if you have an issue and you have a complaint and you feel like you're being targeted, you have to get involved. If you don't vote, if you don't show up to meetings, if you don't voice your opinion, you just barking at the moon, and that's not how it should be. I want everybody to be involved, and me as a candidate, I don't run on racial. I'm not running a racial campaign. I'm not running to be the first black Republican or a black Republican. I'm a candidate
You're
of the
running to be
Republican
the
Party,
Republican
the
candidate.
nominee and a congressman. Period. I'm a conservative because I have conservative ideals, which a lot of my friends and a lot of us who grew up here have the same ideals. That's how it happens. But you can't tell me that in 2025, you've been victimized by uh, redlining or the slave trade. And I understand the argument. I understand. I've heard it. What I'm saying is the way to overcome it is to be involved. The way to overcome it is to see yourself as an equal, live life as an equal, and accept nothing less. We
Could
are
you repeat
Americans.
that? Because I like that line. Because
Uh,
people are not convinced that they can feel that way. They live in America. They
you're
live in the
American.
Constitution. They,
You're
you know,
protected under the same rules and
yeah,
rights.
the very same rules.
You go outside, you walk. We've all heard it. I got one of my best friends is short. He's 5'5", but he has a soul of a 6'5" guy, and he carries himself as such. And that's how anybody who feels like they might not be represented, carry yourself as such. Carry yourself with dignity, with pride, with integrity, and believe me, nobody can take it away from you. You upstanding citizen. You pay your taxes. You go to work every day. Nobody can take it away from you. There's always going to be setbacks. No victimization. Everybody goes through something. Let's get away from the idea that you're only going through that because of your race. Nonsense. You're going through that because everybody goes through that. The question is not what happened to you, but how are you going to respond to it? Are you going to have a story of how you got over it? This is not cliche points. This is very personal. I went through things. Everyone I know has went through things. Some things worse. I have friends that got over it. I have friends that didn't. It all comes back to accountability. If anything for Gen X, Gen Z, boomers, millennials, the word accountability. Let's get rid of all the political correctness. Let's get rid of all the sugarcoating. Let's call a spade and get back to accountability. And accountability is always starts with self.
Now you're moving into the area that I wanted to move in. We've discussed a lot here for people to ponder. Now, Amir, you have a non-Eurocentric name,
Right.
and that scares people. Now, first of all, Black Americans are generally Christians,
Correct.
so they turn their back on people who don't follow that tradition of Eurocentric names. um, and then there's the political element of that, where people who are elected in positions are afraid of people without the Eurocentric names. Um, so, would you explain how you intend to overcome that, or maybe you've already? And also, and explain to me, don't you think it's a good idea to come to be where people are in this city, to let them know that you're running for Congress and that you intend to win and that you believe in the Constitution and you will follow that sincerely? You've already exhibited that by being in the military,
Right.
etc.
Right.
Explain how you will go about doing that. You,
Uh, because I'm not a natural politician, because I'm a
yeah.
man of service, whether military or federal law enforcement. my career and my life speaks to my conservative ideas, but also speaks to what I feel about the Constitution. I've given my life to it. I've used it to protect me, and I've served in protecting it in every aspect of my job. So that's that. There's and the reason I said I'm not a politician is because we've received so much lip service from politicians. People in Kim would tell you promising everything. Oh, I love the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. Yeah, but they still go and serve the people they serve, and it's selfish, it's biased. They're doing it for clout. That's not me. That's not me. I'm going because I actually live in a place where people are moving out of because I feel like it could be a place people can move back to. And the way to do it is the framework within the political system and proper policy and legislation to get our fundamentals corrected. We in America have to correct our fundamentals. Our fabric of our country has gotten far away from us.
So you feel quite comfortable in being who you are by name.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
the Eurocentric part, I don't spend my time worried about the Eurocentric part. We got a lot of weird names or funny names in the world and the country and in politics. It's America. We are a country full of names. People can
Yeah.
learn to pronounce a name, and people will understand what they're looking at when they see somebody who's authentic and somebody who's really speaking.
But everybody who has an opinion,
Yeah,
and like they can come on this show, this is called the Unmet Opinion Show. They have an opinion. We accept their opinion. Their opinion may never touch close to the truth. There are some opinions that are more closer to the truth than others that are worthwhile hearing. And as I understand you here, this is your opinion, and you stand by who you are. And I'm gonna compare and contrast something here with you. Assume. Zoran
yeah,
Mamdani, who became the elected mayor of New York City, the city, the capital of the world,
right.
where the money is, where the power, the influence. This generated probably more presidents than anybody. No, it's been Virginia, but New York has had their their times at the um, in the White House, and he's become now the mayor of this great city. And he just left the White House 3 days ago. He met with President Trump. And I want to read something here, if you don't mind. um, and these are quotes. According to the press, the flyover, President Trump repeatedly praised Zoran Mandemi, predicting that the far left politician would make New York City greater than it's ever been before, despite having previously decided him to be the little communist and threatening to withhold federal funding. According to the press, Mandami was more measured, calculating, stating that their roughly 30-minute discussion focused primarily on the shared goals of addressing affordability and crime in the city rather than the numerous political disagreements. So Trump even offered a lighthearted defense of Mandami when the mayor-elect was questioned about past statements according to the president's specialist and backed off of the threat to deploy the National Guard. But leaders stressed their mutual interest in the city's success following the sit-down. That was the conclusion. The leaders did express the sentiments in New York City. Did did Mandami sound like a real American at this point? Now, outside of all of the other discussion, this response here, he said that he came, they both expressed mutual interest in the city's success following the sit down. They both expressed mutual consent.
Well,
Well,
uh,
does he sound American? Does he sound as though he
Mondani,
was born here?
he
Does he
wasn't. He
sound?
wasn't. He wasn't born here.
Huh?
Mondani wasn't born here. Mondani was born in
I
Africa.
said, does he sound as
No,
though
no,
if he
I've
was?
never met an American like Mamdani, but I'm sure they exist. Maybe they're all in New York. Uh, I, I saw that, and what I took away from it is President Trump is much more professional and responsible than people give him credit for. Mondani has been a uh, opposing figure, and he's been using language that is it's, it's easy to say when you're in New York, but he wouldn't say it to him in his face or on camera.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And yeah,
People,
he had opportunity because they asked him directly.
President
Called him a
Trump was very
fascist.
presidential
Yeah,
in
he
this.
was very presidential,
Very
and
presidential.
Mondani wouldn't. He didn't utter the words he said either, and so they kept it professional. And President Trump is from New York, so he wants to see New York thrive. And um, but there's not a place for socialism. He's a democratic socialist. I don't agree with any of his policies. There's not a place for socialism in this country. No, if you work hard and you're successful, you shouldn't be penalized, uh, and your money be taxed significantly higher and make everybody else pay or pay for everybody else's lifestyle. So I'm not a fan of Mamdani at all. Uh, I think he ran a disingenuous campaign. I think he talked to a lot of people's uh, struggles and traumas, but he cannot actually fix them. I think he sold a bag of goods and a lot more hope than he's actually going to bring real results.
This is where the American people that's watching the show right now, this is what they want to know: who you are, where you stand, what you believe in.
I believe
And I believe that this is the opportunity for you to do that, and you're doing a job and
Can
doing
I
it.
say it?
Yeah.
I would love to say this to everybody watching right now. I love America. I love American people, American interests. First, foremost, for those of us here, I chose a side. My side is the American side.
Republic.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, that does not mean I hate anyone else, but I'm about America. I love America. Simple. I want to see us on the same path and trajectory that we were on prior before we started getting distracted. We started putting feelings over facts. We started trying to implement things that are dangerous to our children. We started taking rights away from parents. We're seeing that now. That's who I am. I'm truly an American, a Flintstone, a Michigander. That's who I am. There's no question about it. We have to get back to standing up for what we believe in, standing on principle, saying what you mean, meaning what you say, no matter where you are and who you're in front of. The reason why Mamdani, they kept it professional. However, if you weren't going to say it to that man's face when you saw him, you shouldn't say it on CNN. And that's the same way I am. I haven't called anybody a name that I won't call them sitting here face to face, cordially or any other way. That's the way to be. We have to get back to being real people, and the people that represent you should be a real person. Simply.
Well, let me ask you, Joy Reid. Do you
Right.
know who she is?
Yes.
Um, did she hurt the culture of Black people when she made the statement that she did?
What statement? I'm not familiar with the statement she made. I'm familiar with her.
She said that, well, white people can't dance, which has nothing to do with political politics and stuff like. She berated them that way, and some people took issue with that. Was that a good position to take?
You can't generalize people. You can't generalize people. See, we hate being generalized, black folk. We hate when people generalize us. If one black man commits a crime in Zimbabwe or Raleigh, North Carolina, that has nothing to do with me here in Flint. Yet somehow we get lumped together. We hate it. Yet she tells white people they can't dance, and she's generalizing them all, and it's supposed to be okay and lighthearted, and people act like it's not the same thing. It is. It's the same thing. Nobody should be generalized. Now, I'm sure whoever she was looking at, maybe she couldn't dance. Maybe they had no rhythm. But everybody has somebody in their family that has no rhythm. You know what I
You can
mean?
start with me.
You know,
And you may have to bring John in, the producer director of the
he can do
show.
some things. You know, I keep it smooth, man. I'm doing a Flint two step. Anybody from here know what the Flint two step is? I keep it at the Flint two step. I groove, I don't dance. But you know, no, there should be no overgeneralizations of anybody. Let's get to the point where let's get it back to treat others the way you wanted to be treated. We've gotten to a point where we started throwing stones at people when they didn't deserve it.
I'd like to ask you one more question, and this question is open-end question. You know those open-end questions. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And that would be Um, if you were asked to state your preference or resemblance between Mandomni, Mandomni and Congressman Crockett of Texas, who would you most likely resemble? Please take your time and carefully craft this question because there are people who, like I said, it's an opening question.
Yeah, but it it's too vague because you don't know how people view those people.
Yeah,
So
but
it's like, what am I applying to? But I would tell you this: neither. First of all, you have a one is a woman, so I can't relate to a woman in any of the struggles or anything they go through, and nor would I. I'm a man. God made me a man, so I look from a man's point of view. The second is a immigrant. He has his own struggles, and he come here with socialist ideas that don't haven't planned out for people in my community or my district. So therefore, neither one of them. I think Mondani, I told you, I think his policies are destructive. I think we're going to see in the next 12 months one or two things happen. Either A, he's unsuccessful because the rest of the politicians in his state, in his own party, don't back him because they realize he'll drive up their financial backing, or two, socialist agenda is implemented and people will see how terrible it is and why it's never worked in the world before for a long
well,
periods of
both
time.
of these individuals are on the poop list of the American people.
Well,
So
some
I,
people love him. You know, she
yeah,
she
I
got she
know.
got elected for a reason, and
Yes,
she's
she got elected in a gerrymandered district where only she could win.
well, they do it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
did it for her. I'm not a fan of her either. I don't know her policies, but I'm not a fan of her. I think she plays into. I think she plays into racial politics, I mean, gender politics. I think she labels anybody who goes against the democratic way or anybody who critiques somebody of her race in politics. Um, she critiques them if they're not democratic and don't go with her. So I'm not a fan of her either. I'm all about you align ideologically, you align with your values, then we have something in common.
I'll
Skins.
accept that position because it is an opinion, but it was a credible one.
Yeah.
You didn't hurt anybody's feelings, I don't think, but you might have um, uh, caused them to think deeply about this issue.
I have nothing in common with either one of those. I have nothing in common with either one of those people. And they're not from here.
Okay, but my last question, the time is coming to an end, right? Got 2 minutes. um, do you think it's a good idea to isolate yourself from the Genesee County Republican Party?
No.
You're the diplomat
Right.
from the community.
Right.
Should you go there and sit in the party with them, even though you might have difficulties with some of the leadership?
Mhm.
Should you demonstrate your you are an ambassador?
Mhm.
You are the best that maybe the best that some people think that the party can uh, get.
Well, it's
Yeah.
something. I'm open to working with everyone. I think we have to unify the conservatives and Republicans in this county, in this district, to win this race. It's tough. So I'm open to working with everyone, and I look forward to working with everyone. There's nothing that's happened that is insurmountable or
Do
something we
you
can't
do you
overcome.
feel comfortable going anywhere in Flint and posing yourself as a candidate of the Republican Party, no matter who they are,
Yes,
no matter what color they are, no matter how much money they got, no matter who they know? Are you
without
comfortable?
without anyone else there, without a team.
Because that's what the position that you run for
Yeah.
allows you to do. You can be as arrogant as you want to. You can be as forthright as you want to. You don't have to fear it.
Well, let me say this, and in all due humility, there's no arrogance with it. Growing up in a place like this allows you to walk in any room at any time as yourself and understand that you're gonna be okay. And if you're not okay, you're gonna know how to respond to it. You grow up in a place, a blue collar place like the 8th District of Michigan. You go anywhere in this world, you go anywhere in this country, you know how to handle yourself and you're confident in your abilities. That's what happens when you actually grow up in a place surrounded by the people we grew up with and the times we grew up in. So I go as a Republican because I'm a man first, I'm a son, I'm a father, I'm a cousin. Somebody knows me for different things other than political beliefs, even though a lot of people share these political beliefs.
Now,
So
as you walk out of this video studio today, you will have walked out as a winner or loser.
Always a winner.
How do you plan to walk out of here?
Always a winner.
Stately, with
Uh,
statesmanship, you
yeah.
become a statesman. You become an ambassador for the Republican Party, for the people of the city of Flint and the 8th District.
Well, everybody from Bay County,
Yeah.
Saginaw, Midland, and Genesee County, please understand that I'm here fighting for you every day. I'm here fighting for you. If you don't necessarily agree with every single thing that somebody else may be, I'm fighting to make sure you have the chance to voice your opinion, and we have proper representation. The real telltale will be November of 2026 when it's time to vote, and we can really see what type of life and what type of future we want here in the state. It's a very important race. It's a midterm, but it's one of the most important midterms we've had in a long time. We have the governor, we have a senator, we have our Congress seats all open at the same time, and it's major things on the line this time. And I'm fighting to be that representative that can make you proud and make you feel seen, feel heard, feel represented, regardless of what walk of life you come from. Um, I'm representing you, and I'm looking forward to meeting all.
I'm sorry, Amir, the time has come to an end. But I want to thank you for appearing on the show. You've been a great candidate. You've had some good responses. And the people of the state of Michigan and the city of Flint, preferentially, and the surrounding community should be proud to be able to hear you. The Republican Party itself, the Democrats who should give you the credit for being able to stand here and state your position without denigrating anybody that's listening to this show and have an opinion. I thank you very much. I think you've done a credible job. And I'm sorry, folks, we did not get the health care and we did not get the education, although he did mention education a little bit, but there's much more about education and health care that we want to come back.
We're getting
So,
kids to read by third grade, at or above a grade level by third grade. We're going to do the same thing Mississippi did with the Mississippi Miracle. We're going to pay our teachers. I'm proposing they don't pay any taxes if they make less than $100,000. We're going to make sure our student to teacher ratios are lower, and we're going to fight to make sure the money follows the kids. If you want to send your kid to a private school, the state should provide the same money they provide to public and charter. That's what we're doing for education. Healthcare, we need to find a system that's better and that it allows everybody to be covered. However, the government is not supposed to subsidize 100%, and we should not be going in debt for it. That's it. That's where we are. You can find more on me on Hassan4mi.com. Mr. Hatter, I appreciate your time. I look forward to coming back in the future. And anybody else, Hassan4mi.com, I can be reached, or you can just see me outside. I'm everywhere. I'll be there. Please speak. I speak. Let's grab a drink.
this has been Amir Hassan, Republican candidate for Congress, 8th District. I apologize for not getting to the other issues, but you have heard from this Hassan, Amir Hassan. What you see is what you get. What you believe will depend on what Hassan has demonstrated to you as he characterized himself. The show has come to an end, and thank you, Amir. This is Henry Hatter speaking for the In My Opinion show.